We're in a dark alleyway and we can hear the distant sound of police sirens. How is she? This, all right, that accent. A deep, gravelly voice says, she's fading. We gotta go, panics a grey-haired man with a moustache. I'll get my car. I brought mine, replies the deep, gravelly voice. Yours? asks the older man, confused. As he turns to look, we see the lights of a vehicle come on in the shadows at the end of the alleyway and hear the sound of an engine revving. Suddenly, a black, angular, armoured tank of a car accelerates towards him, driving over anything that gets in its way. The older man looks on in amazement, saying, I've got to get me one of those. What could this be a clip from, despite my terrible accent? Can you tell?
No idea.
No, I put it down to the accent. It is Batman Begins. You know, when it's driving along the alleyway and it goes over everything and it looks really awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone wants one of those, right?
Yeah, I've been wanting one for years.
Me too. We have a radio-controlled one at home.
Oh, do you?
Yes. Hello, I'm Rebecca Jackson, racing driver, TV presenter and motoring expert. Welcome to Where's My Flying Car from IAM Road Smart, the podcast where we ask, are the promises of fantastical transport in science fiction possible? And if so, what are the facts? Today, I'm joined by Professor Colin Lee, Queen's University Belfast and board member of 5GAA to talk about all vehicle-to-everything technology. Welcome, Colin.
Pleasure.
I remember watching Batman and seeing the Batmobile interacting with the environment around it. What exactly is vehicle-to-everything technology?
Vehicle-to-everything technology is a technical technology that allows, from a radio technology that connects everything together. So, for example, vehicle-to-vehicle via a radio wave. And then you've got vehicle-to-network, which is also cellular. You can also go vehicle via satellite in the future, where you can be even further distances away, and possibly without being in cellular network, for example.
Wow. Okay. So that's how it works then, is cellular and...
Yeah, exactly the same as your phone in many ways. You know, if you have your phone and you say you had a peer-to-peer or walkie-talkie, you know the walkie-talkie? So if you imagine having a walkie-talkie where you're talking to each other, that would be the vehicle-to-vehicle way of working. If you're going to go via a third party, which would be some kind of repeater, you'll be going through kind of like almost like your phone. I'm talking to you, for example, on my phone. That's going through a repeater, isn't it, effectively?
Amazing.
And then if you're going through satellite, you know, you can talk to people abroad, like in New Zealand or Australia, which you can't know where you're going to see them, but you can actually talk to them, and that would be through the satellites. It works exactly the same way.
Brilliant. Very clever. This leads us into a little segment that we like to call Are We There Yet? Where we look at how close we are to this technology becoming part of our everyday life. I'm going to ask you, in what ways are we already using this technology?
Well, I suppose Waze, the Google Waze is probably the first thing that started doing something similar, where the person will report something and it goes through the network, and then eventually you receive it at the other end, and you get to know that there's some parked car or stationary vehicle or a crash, an accident. So it's been going for quite some time. So it certainly started in the Waze. Now, V2X really is an automatic version of that. So if the car was to break down, the car itself will go, I've broken down.
Okay. So V to X is vehicle to user or vehicle to...
So the vehicle talks to another vehicle.
Vehicle to another vehicle.
Not to the user, it talks to another vehicle. So the vehicle says, right, I've got a flat tyre. I'm going to break down. So this next vehicle knows it's broken down. It knows why.
The vehicle behind it?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So there's lots of different levels of where we can find out more and more about that car. So we know what type of vehicle it is, whether it's a tractor, a lorry, whether it's a bike, whether it's a car, and we know it's got a puncture.
Okay.
For example, and so therefore we can say, right, well that's okay. It's a stationary vehicle then. We leave it at that. Imagine like a fountain where it's broadcasting like a fountain, and every little drop that hits you, you now know about that particular one. So it's only local to you. It can be further than that, but you wouldn't want to know if you're in Newcastle what's going on in London, would you? So you'd be very local to
No, but if I was the breakdown company, I might want to know.
Exactly.
Okay. When will this become the norm?
It's already out there. Since 2016, a lot of the German companies, OEMs, have actually got this. Some of you will know already when you drive in a car, it would suddenly pop up something and you didn't know. Like, for example, some car might have braked in front of a lorry that you can't see, but it's popped up saying there's heavy braking ahead. And you go, how does that happen? That's because it's broadcasted already back.
Communicating with your vehicle. That's really good. It's a bit like, in a way, but this is probably pre-programmed rather than communicating with the environment. But when you come up to a traffic light and the car knows what the road environment is, and so it starts to sort of preempt the slowdown.
Absolutely. Basically, what happens is green light optimization. So basically, we know, if you know the time to green or time to red, in fact, you can say, right, okay, well, it's now currently red. I'm up the hill way back, and then I know when it's going to change to green. It's currently red, going to change to green. So as I'm driving down, normally would slow down, wouldn't we, to try and stop at the red? But the car would know what speed to drive to make sure by the time you get there, it's already changed to green.
Excellent.
So you don't stop.
Efficiency comes into it then. Correct, as well,
yeah.
Because you use a lot of fuel or energy to pull away every time you come to a standstill, don't you? So interesting. And what could it look like in the future?
Now, that's interesting. If every car and every phone and every roadside equipment had this technology, you effectively will know, or the car would know, how to get to where you want to go quickly. Because you'll have
efficiently and safely.
Safely, of course, yeah. And if you're going to go through London, it will have a heat map saying, okay, this bit is pretty heavy at the moment. It will know about the Twickenham rugby going on. Yeah. It would know about lots of things that's going on. And then what will happen is it would advise a different route based on the fact of the data it's receiving.
Doesn't a sat-nav already do that?
It does.
To a certain extent.
But it's called a floating point, and therefore there's always a delay. This is actual cars telling you. So the rotation of the wheels and the turning of circle of that wheel is being broadcasted. So you know what direction that car's going in. So very quickly you can see it's accurate. Whereas what we do at the moment, we actually use mobile phones. And then what they do is that every 1 second, if you're not moving, you'll see you'll just see the same place every second. But if you are moving, you'll see it moving like that. If you multiply that by what's going on, then basically you end up with a good idea of what the speed is if you had 100 different people. But what this is the car. It's so accurate because the car itself, 10 times a second, is telling you exactly what it's doing. Not you personally as a driver, but the other cars.
Yeah.
So the other cars can, for example, now go past you. They know you're coming up to a junction. They can actually avoid you and avoid crashes and all that kind of stuff. There's so much into this.
So we're starting actually to speak about the benefits in terms of user experience. Can you speak a bit more about road safety, vehicle efficiency?
Well, efficiency, I think we've covered in the sense that you get an idea of what's good and bad in terms of red heat map. But I think a good one, to think about is like when you go onto a country lane, and we've all been there where we go around a corner, all of a sudden there's a horse rider, or all of a sudden there's a bike, a cyclist, and you didn't see them. There's no way you could see them.
Or a tractor trimming the hedge.
Or a tractor's literally just pulled out, and believe me, you want to stop then anyway.
Oh, yes.
But now imagine that the car knows that they're there because your phone will be broadcasting its position, and therefore we know it's there. So we can make adjustments to it.
If the farmer who's in the tractor or the horse rider that's on the horse has their phone with them, that is being broadcast to the car. What
we do is we have multiple ways of connecting to you. So you can either do it direct. So the tractor itself will have a broadcasting to a car, like do you remember the little two-way radio? You can either do it like that, but it's digital talking to each other.
Okay.
Or you can have a phone where we're connected via the phone signal to your phone, and therefore we know that someone there.
Yes.
We don't know anything about you.
We don't know if...
But we just know you're there.
The person is on a horse or walking or on a bike. We just know that they're moving slowly.
Well, we know they're moving slowly because what we do is we watch it. The car monitors that you're moving only 3 miles per hour. So it assumes, because it's a phone, it must be you. Now, if you're in a car doing 25 mile an hour, it must assume you're in a vehicle.
Or someone who's really good at riding their bike.
Oh, very good on the bike, yeah. But either way, it knows you're there.
Can it do road positioning as well?
Yes, because of the direction it's going in. It knows this 10 times a second. So therefore, if you know what's going on 10 times a second, you get the direction, you get the small changes of all that kind of stuff happens from one car to another. You wouldn't know as a driver, but the car knows it.
When I share my location, it's accurate to 3 meters or something like that, isn't it? So we don't know the position in the road. So we don't know exactly what vehicle they're in, but we know that they're moving slowly. So we know it could be potentially a hazard. And then how often is that data bouncing back and forth? Several times a second, is that right?
I think today it's something like 10 foot, the actual I think the American system is 10-foot accuracy for,
Oh, wow.
for
Okay.
GPS. You can get it down to about a meter if you're going to use Galileo, for example. But also, if you look to the future where we're starting to use autonomous vehicles, that would be accurate to less than 100 millimeters.
Wow. That's
so
impressive, isn't
basically, what happens is V2X can follow the technology as it gets better. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get a rough idea somebody's there. You know what side on the road, because you can tell if they're going in that direction or this direction just by 10 times a second information.
Absolutely.
But you're right, you may not know whether they're parked slightly to the left or whether in the middle of the road per se.
Yeah.
But you will do in the future from an autonomous situation.
All the time it's developing. Now, what are the challenges in terms of maybe data vulnerability, personal ID, tech reliability, signal even?
V2X is covered by ETSI specifications, which is a European version, SAE, which is the American version, China SAE, which is the China version, and so on. So all the specs have been done with GDPR and all the kind of privacy involved. So you can look them up. I mean, they're out there and you can read them. They actually say, because we don't know who you are, we just know you're a node doing some kind of speed in this direction, and whether that node affects me as I'm driving it.
Okay, so it's not like when you go to the supermarket and they know that you've just bought 8 bananas at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
No. But we just know you are a car, you're a lorry, or you're a big vehicle, you're a medium-sized vehicle, you're a small vehicle. That's as much as we know about it. And then the rest of it is all about figuring out, will you in any way impact on me? That's basically what it's all about.
And what about, will the technology go wrong?
It doesn't matter if it goes wrong, because ADAS, which is the assisted driving system on the car, that's the ultimate decision maker. It's a bit like if I said to you, put your head on in the oven, you're not going to do it.
No,
because your ADAS in the head said, no way am I going to do that. So if we give you wrong information to a certain degree, the ADAS guys go, no, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But if the sensors are sensing, yes, that makes sense. You're saying it's going to be here. Yes, it's within the area where I'm driving. Then there's some kind of credibility being built up, a confidence level, if you like, 0 to 100 confidence level. If you're above a certain confidence level, yes, we'll take some action. But if you're below a certain confidence level, you may decide to not do anything at all, but then wait until you can see it with the sensors.
Yes. Now, I'd like to move on to driving culture, because I'm picturing various different scenarios. Somebody perhaps who likes to drive briskly on a country road might think, oh, I've got this technology. I'll get a warning if there's going to be something in my way that I need to take evasive action about. Is that going to make them drive faster? Is it actually going to be detrimental to road safety? Or is it going to change our driving culture in a positive way? What do you think?
Well, luckily there is an ADAS brain inside the car that will prevent that from happening. That's the first thing. The second thing is that things like animals and deers that jump out. Now, they don't have anything electrical on them, so you still have that to worry about. But if the car can recognize a deer, it will then broadcast to another car, there are deers in this area. So the ADAS is designed to look after you, not this technology. So if you lose the technology, or if it gets it wrong, the ADAS is the ultimate brain that decides whether it takes action or not. So if you decide to drive too fast or wrongly, ADAS will take over and correct you or stop you. You must have felt that with the lane guidance and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. These days with AEB, which is the automatic braking, where we've got radars and cameras that actually, because it's now law, you've got to have those on new cars. If you didn't see something, you suddenly hear bing, 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 because you suddenly hit the car. Say, if you carry on the way you are, you're going to actually hit the back of that car. Yeah. So the ADAS takes care of, if you like, the silliness of the driving, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, it is very important to drive within our capabilities and the road and the environment, and not go hooning it around on country roads, because that is very dangerous, even with these systems in place.
I mean, we wouldn't say time to red on the traffic light, for example, because if you knew it's 5 seconds before it changes red, you might put your foot down faster.
Exactly.
And go through it. So there's certain things we would refrain from giving you the information on. because we just know from that information people will try it. So,
So
we do our best to
you're
tone it down a bit.
preempting a negative driving culture there, which is very commendable. So other organizations that may be able to read that data and communicate, I understand that you have said it's all protected and you're just a node. Would it be useful for other organizations to know that there is, for example, an organization that's
Sorry, now I
expecting a
understand.
heavy flow of traffic, airports, for example?
Yeah, so I mean, to be honest, once you've got an idea of what the car's doing or what other people are doing, so you can do things like automatic parking, so you can connect to, I don't know, a company that owns a car park where as you drive up, the car negotiates the payment and it just opens up and you go along. None of this, finding out which app to do, are you in coverage? It simply deals with it there and then. If you, in the future, you might want to call your car and the car might be talking to devices underneath the car park where, this car park or this area there's a free car space here. So we can interact with systems. Gantries, we can see 2 miles down the road what it's saying before you even get there.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different things like that will be connected to. So once you have vehicle connected to everything, then other organizations like councils and I don't know, you name it really. I mean, whatever you're interested in, it will be connected to that, whatever is that side of things.
And what new regulations are needed?
Basically, you can use it now. There's no harm in using it now. The spectrum has been sorted in terms of Europe and US and also China. So the spectrum being license free, which means you can use it anyway from now onwards. And as I said, there's a few people that are using it already. But there are governments are really picking up on this because they're recognizing the I think in America it's like 40,000 people that die on the roads every year.
Wow.
That will make a massive difference. So the governments are really interested. So and also if you think of the cost in especially America where you've got NHS kind of costs, that will go down massively. So the cost of looking after people that have got injuries from roads are massive in America. In Europe, they just want to make it more efficient. They want to make sure that you get from A to B safely. People do still get run over. I think there's a company called DECRA that you can get this information from. And it's really scary. And the other thing I wanted to mention is when you buy a car, you get 5 stars, don't you? 4 stars, 5 stars.
Yeah.
Well,
in the Euro NCAP rating.
So NCAP rating is actually something they are very, very into this and really, really pushing for it. So to the point where in the future, you won't get a 5-star rating if you don't have V2X technology.
Interesting.
At some point down the line. I'm not saying when exactly.
And it might actually help people concentrate better if they're getting alerts when there's a pedestrian or a cyclist or something slow moving ahead. It could help concentration, couldn't it? With those little reminders, like a co-driver looking out for hazards for you.
But not too many, of course. We don't want to go bing bong dong every time something happens. The good one that people remember is if there's a lorry in front of you and you're doing 70 miles on the outside lane. And we've all been in a situation where someone further down the line has put their brakes on, and all of a sudden you really have to put your brakes on to stop yourself from hitting the car in front. Well, you'd be able to see that car happening several hundreds of meters ahead, and you'd be able to slow down. Or the car itself will suddenly start slowing down, and you're going to go, why is that then? All of a sudden the lorry veers to the left to avoid the car in front, and you've just come to a nice gentle stop behind the car in front of that, and you're going, well, how did that happen?
Sounds much more relaxing. We are now going to do what have we learned today? And there's 3 takeaways. So V2X or V to everything technology is mainly vehicles talking to other vehicles. Am I right about that?
One of them, yes.
One of them, yeah. And we're already using this technology. And where can we learn a bit more about that?
There's a website called 5gaa.org.
Okay.
And it has lots of videos, papers, white papers for those that really want to get into it.
Okay. So listeners can go there. And then my 3rd takeaway from today is the technology gives you a better safety overview to enable you or your vehicle to adjust earlier to what's ahead. Would you say that's pretty safe to say?
Yep. Pretty
Excellent.
much a guardian angel.
Oh, yes. I love the idea of that. I've got some quick fire questions to throw at you to end on. Are you ready?
Okay. I am.
How do you feel about your car listening and learning?
All cars have been doing that for years. They don't necessarily listen and learn about you. Phones do, but cars don't. They only respond. They only know how hard you press the brake or how hard you press the accelerator. or whether you're in the car because you're sat on the sensor and therefore your seatbelt will go bing, bing, bing if you don't have it on. But that's as much as we know about you today.
And the key holds that information. So when you take your key in to be serviced, they can read all that information so they know how you've been driving. And favourite piece of current in-car technology?
Oh, V2X by a long way.
Of course. By the way, listeners, not all cars hold that information in their car keys, but I think that the people that are listening to this will know which ones do. Okay, favourite Batman villain?
The Riddler.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Colin, for joining us today and providing us with such tremendous knowledge on this. It's been very, very interesting to listen to.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back next episode where we'll be joined by Aaron Allahanen, Assistant Professor of Future Transport, to talk about charge as you drive roads.